Hi everyone and welcome to the grand final, the penultimate day of the Armageddon Championship Series 2023. The show with more ups and downs than a rickety, out of control roller coaster on a stormy day. I'm Grandmaster Simon Williams and I'm here with the brilliant, quite exceptional international master, Jovanka Houska.
Thank you, Simon. And it's going to be an incredible day of action because you said it, it's the penultimate day. Tomorrow it's going to be the big final. And I, for one, can't wait. And we started off with 8 players, but only 4 remain in the competition. But take a look at some of those names.
There's some real big games happening today. It's going to be so exciting. And let's remind you, this is the penultimate day. Tomorrow is the grand final of the grand final. And we're looking forward to some great games of chess today. But before we do that, I think we should look at a bit of a highlight video.
Yeah. Day 5 started with a big match for survival in the lower bracket between Wesley So and Humpy Koneru, and Wesley came to the board very determined, playing quickly and confidently. The pressure soon got too much for Humpy and she cracked and lost. In the second game, Humpy tried to create some counter chances with the black pieces, but in the end it was all to no avail as Wesley forced resignation to win the match 2-0.
The second match of the day saw the titanic battle between Gukesh and Richard Rapport. On paper, a very close contest. In the first game, Gukesh was pushing for the win, but overpressed and let Richard Rapport take the victory, meaning Gukesh had to strike back in game 2. Unfortunately for him, Richard got a very good position and kept control, winning and going through to the next round.
Yeah, it was an exciting day yesterday, but it's been an exciting few months. It all kicked off in March, but let's remind ourselves what this Armageddon Grand Finale is all about. This is the grand finale of Armageddon Championship Series 2023, the ultimate chess showdown of the year. From March till June, we had 4 amazing tournaments: the Americas, Asia and Oceania, Europe and Africa regional series, and a special qualifying stage, Women's Week.
32 of the strongest players competed for a spot in the grand finale, and only 8 of them made it through. All our events are broadcast live from the World Chess Club Berlin on Unter den Linden. This is make or break. Who will make the cut and become the Armageddon Championship winner? Don't go anywhere, this is Armageddon. And let's now take a look at the money situation. It's always nice to get a bit of cash, and today it's a massive money day because the players who win will get into that position where they can gain an extra 20,000 euros. So there's a lot to play for, a lot at stake, a lot of money, and there's going to be a lot of nerves on the line.
And of course, we have to mention our partners, IT.com Domains, the official partner of the Armageddon Championship Series. It's a domain registry like no other. It provides a platform for anyone to create innovative domains and effectively showcase their online presence. So don't miss this opportunity. Visit IT.com today and create your unique online image.
Yeah, and where are we in the competition? Well, let's bring up our bracket, our graphics to show. We're in day 6 of the final, and we're going to start off with the lower bracket match between Wesley So and Richard Rapport. This is going to be really exciting because one of those players is going to have to go home after losing today. They are a bit safer in the upper bracket, but they're playing for a big prize because the winner is guaranteed a spot in the final, guaranteed a great payday and a chance of becoming the ultimate champion.
Yeah, and we're getting close now to the start. And let's take a look at those matchups. Wesley So against Richard Rapport, the ultimate battle for survival there. And of course, 19-year-old Nodirbek Abdusattorov will take on Jan-Krzysztof Duda. We'll find out who is promoted, who gets relegated, but let's take a look at this one.
Yeah, the first match of the day, Wesley So versus Richard Rapport. I can't wait for this match. But we should let you know the score between these two so far is very heavily in Wesley So's favour. They played 18 games. Richard has never won a game and Wesley has won 7. So he has that advantage, but it is quick chess.
It is quick chess, and here are some of Wesley So's stats. Became a Grandmaster at 15 years old. In 2016, he helped the American team become Olympiad winners. And let's not forget that he's a 3-time USA champion. Wesley's been in the elite for many, many years. He's beaten everyone at the top. And let's hear more from Wesley in his own words.
Well, I was really looking forward to this event. I'm very glad to be back. I have pleasant memories in Berlin. I generally play very well here. You know, I love the people, I love the food. So yeah, I'm very happy to be back. Yeah, I think this week, maybe the player to beat is Jan-Krzysztof Duda. He's a very good speed player, and also he's been in very good form lately, at least in terms of faster time controls. To be able to win the first Armageddon Championship just would be like a dream come true.
Wesley is a phenomenal player, one of the favourites here, but he is playing the maverick, the rock and roll star of chess, Richard Rapport. Richard was a Grandmaster at the age of 13, and he's achieved a lot in his lifetime. He's known for his aggressive, his strange but wonderful play, and he has even been European Rapid Champion. He's played so well during the course of this event, and we should hear a little bit more about him now.
2023 was a staggering year for Richard Rapport's resume, confirming his status as fans' favourite. In the Europe and Africa leg of the Armageddon series, he was altogether ruthless. He first punched his ticket to the winner's bracket in an Armageddon game by defeating Netherlands' #2 player Jordan van Forest 2-1 before getting the better of France's Maxime Vachier-Lagrave 1-5-0-5. In the semis, he gave 2021 World Cup winner Jan-Krzysztof Duda no chance and reached the final where they would meet again, as Duda claimed his spot from the jaws of elimination. Rapport showed no mercy there, inflicting the young Pole a severe 2-0 score. Intuition, creativity, trust in his systems, it seemed like Richard was simply untouchable during the tournament. Will he be able to repeat that feat in the grand finale?
Well, we will find out very shortly as the match is getting started in less than 1 minute. But let's remind ourselves of the rules. The players will be playing 2 games of blitz, a time control of 3 minutes plus a 2-second time bonus per move. And if the match is still tied after these 2 games, everything is going to be decided by the crowd favorite of
Armageddon, and that means white gets 5 minutes, black gets 4 minutes. White has to win though, so black gets the draw odds, which happens quite a lot in chess. And here we see our amazing arbiter Anastasia Sorokina. She's keeping an eye on the events just in case a fight breaks out. She can stop that fight, as unlikely as that seems. And we're now 15 seconds away. One thing me and Jovanka noted earlier on is that we've had no draws so far in the final of this Armageddon. I probably jinxed it now. Will we get a draw, Jovanka?
Well, we'll find out because, well, 2 seconds and handshake, lights, camera, action. Wesley, what are you going to open with? He opens with the king's pawn. And oh my goodness me, what do I see on the board? It's my favorite opening, the Caro card.
Richard already blundering there, the Caro. No, I'm only joking. A very good opening that Jovanka is a specialist in.
And now this is a nice trendy idea. Ooh, and Richard now going for one of the most combative approaches here. I personally like to attack the queen, and well, Richard now doing it. And this is very, very trendy because pieces are hanging everywhere on the board. And not only that, but the play gets wild. This will suit Richard because the two have very differing styles. Wesley has a very classical positional approach, whereas Richard, he likes to mix things up. He likes the dynamism.
He does. Richard really likes mess. He likes chaos. He's a chaos fire starter on the board, and Wesley can deal with the chaos. He's a brilliant player all round, but prefers to keep control of the position. So you can see the heart rates both in the red there. They're both quite high, and I think Richard has prepared something quite nice here. He's got a messy, chaotic position, and he needs to get that against the solid Wesley So. And he is a pawn up as well, but Wesley just simply developing a piece there, and it's, I guess, going to come down to whose king is safest. It looks to me like White might be able to get his king safe soon. Can Richard get his king to safety?
Yeah, that is going to be a pressing issue, especially if Wesley decides to go all gung-ho and castle that king to the left side of the board. And you can actually track the advantage of the players by looking at the dashboard background there, all the way on the right. And if one color dominates, that means that that side is winning.
At the moment, it's fairly even there. Wesley just putting his king out of any trouble on the open line. He's getting ready to move his rook to check Richard's king. That's where rooks belong, on open lines, particularly going towards their opponent's king. Richard simply develops his bishop, and his king is going to try to, we call it castling by hand, move right one square and then tuck itself on the fianchetto position there. But at the moment, sensible developing move. And the question for Wesley is really, you are a pawn down, Wesley. Where is your compensation? If you don't play energetically here, you're simply going to be a pawn down. And that's not a good sign. And I love what Rich has done in the opening, Jovanka, to put the pressure on Wesley with the black pieces.
And I agree with you completely. And the bar is also in complete agreement there. I love what Richard is doing. He did not castle, because then that rook there in the corner on the open line will get extra power. Instead, he castles by hand. The king will find a safe hiding place there on the G7 square in front of his own pawns. And then he just can simply introduce the queen into the game. I'm really loving this position for Richard. And you know what's also I'm loving? I'm loving the fact that Richard has a massive lead on the clock.
Yeah, and Wesley attacking that knight with his rook, but this has not gone well for Wesley. How many times do we see Wesley surprised when he has the white pieces? Well, Richard has done his homework here. You need to go into battle with a plan in place, otherwise you're going to be shooting blindly. And Richard has done precisely that. He's got a great position. I think he can defend his knight by using his h-pawn. Maybe he's just calculating a sacrifice there. He's got to make sure his king doesn't get too exposed if he does that, but he should be okay here by using the h-pawn to defend the knight, and he has done that. He has defended it, and here we go. Wesley has come in with a major sacrifice there.
But okay, well, Richard had calmly calculated everything, and he has a response. He moved his rook forward to attack the queen, and that might not have been the most accurate form of defense. So now the king is in check. What is Richard gonna do? Is he gonna block that check with the queen? Maybe with the, probably with the rook? No, he retreats the knight. And well, Wesley is out of his comfort zone, that is for sure. But one thing about Wesley, you should never provoke the bear, because when it's prodded, well, he will awaken with a tremendous roar.
And Wesley is now a bear. I like it. Wesley the bear, and he is a ferocious player on the board. And what I like about Wesley's play here is he realized he had a bad position, and he realized he needed to do something very sharp, very dramatic, very out of the book, and he did that. His timing for this sacrifice was amazing, and he's managed to complicate the position. Like I said, Richard is more known for this, but Wesley is one of the world's best players, and he can play every type of position. I'm liking White's attack now. That knight coming in, the other knight maybe coming around, and Richard has some tricky defending to do here.
Yeah, he certainly does, and he steps the queen to the other side of the board with the idea of shifting the queen along the 7th row for defensive purposes, and whoa, Richard's king doing an escape job there, running away.
And you can see the evaluation bar going up and down. That's because it's such a chaotic, crazy position. humans will find this very hard to work out. They're both under a minute here in what is just a complete mess. What an exciting game to start up an alternate day. The queen moves its way in with a check. The king finds a safer square moving up, and now the rook is trying to wriggle. If the rook goes to the right, it will give the black king another check. 3 pieces attacking is often a very dangerous number, but Richard has a number of pieces defending. His king is not there on its own, but he's got to be so careful here with only 35 seconds to find the right defense. He looks nervous to me, Jovanka.
He's certainly nervous, but who wouldn't be nervous with their king exposed like that? No, I mean, here Richard is going to be in hyper-focus mode. He's going to be calculating all the checks, the captures, and all the threats. And 19 seconds, and the clock is ticking down. He introduces a new piece into the defense, allowing a check from Wesley. King Sky escapes down, but it feels like the knight can come in.
I think knight d7 is a killer move. What a brilliant knight d7 check is amazing idea. Is he going to play it? He does, and this is going to win the queen. After you play this move, the queen is going to be grabbed, but black has a lot of pieces for that queen, Jovanka.
He does have a lot of pieces, but look at the king. The king is still unsafe, and now all Richard has to do is all Wesley has to do is introduce all the pieces into the attack. Now the rook in the corner needs to come into the game.
Materialistically, Richard is doing okay.
No,
he's blundered a piece with check. What an amazing game that was. That was really, really intense, Jovanka. I mean, it happened so quickly there. I mean, look at Wesley's heart rate. I mean, Richard was doing okay, but Wesley played brilliantly. I haven't seen Wesley do that before. Mix things up, go for the attack, play like some really dangerous style. That was great to see.
That was a fantastic game. Both players going gung-ho at each other. And first of all, it seemed like Richard had the upper hand. He chose a great opening. He was a pawn up. And then Wesley with that sacrifice. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and this is where it looked like Richard was doing pretty well, but Wesley came up with this very clever idea. He realized if he didn't do something out of the book there, he was just going to be worse and probably lose the game. And this is a great lesson for anyone at home. If your position is bad, it's time to press the panic button, and look at that, bang, in comes the bishop. And that was a very good way to play. The queen comes in, and Wesley now starts to get an attack, and practically at this time limit, it's much more difficult to defend than it is to attack, and that was the key thing, I think, Jovanka. Wesley's moves, he was attacking, and Richard had to defend, and defending at the shorter time limits is very hard to do.
It's incredibly difficult to do. You have to, and here there were so many things that Richard had to calculate. You know, there were so many possibilities for Wesley, but this is the moment where Wesley seals the victory with a stunning knight check. And a quick pause, and there we can see it. Beautiful tactic there from Wesley, winning the queen, and all Wesley has to do is now introduce the other 2 pieces into the attack, and he would have had a very promising position.
Yeah, that was beautiful attacking game from Wesley, and the final blunder came around here. Richard was still holding on. It looked very tricky because that knight that Wesley's moving is coming for black's king. But this next move, Richard was just a bit too short a time. He moved his rook here, and he drops his bishop with check. And when that bishop goes, he's completely lost, so he has to resign. I think Richard would love to have had the attack in that position. So that means Richard needs to strike back now.
Yeah, he will have the white pieces. Also, Richard has been in this position before, but he will have less than 45 seconds to calm those nerves, to think of all those motivational quotes that he can possibly be inspired by, and just reset, just compose himself and get the game going. We've seen it done so many times. And like you said, Simon, earlier, there has not been a single draw.
There hasn't been a single draw. I wonder if we're going to go through the whole finals without a draw. That will be quite exceptional if that happens. But Richard does have the white pieces. He needs to win to get it to Armageddon. Any other result, and he's going to be out of the competition. And that means Wesley will be through as well to the final. It's a big, big game. They're playing for 20,000 euros here. It's a massive amount of cash on one game of chess. It's got to be scary to be in that position. Richard's starting with a quiet opening here. He's basically saying, I want the action later on. I'm not going to engage with a more popular opening, even though this is called the Reti opening. It's reasonably popular. He just wants to get into the game here, Jovanka.
Yeah, he certainly does want to get into the game, but this is really very much Richard's trademark style. You know, he opens unconventionally, and the fight is really there in the middle game. And once again, Wesley starting with a very high heart rate of 130. He's in the red, and Wesley, he's playing the most committal moves, pushing that pawn forward 1 square in the middle. He's being greedy. He's grabbing space.
Wesley is a very traditional, principled player, so if he gets a chance to take the middle of the board, he will. And this is his conventional style against Richard's unconventional style, even though in the first game he did play quite unconventionally himself. And this position, well, Black has a lovely hold in the center with the bishop there, but Richard's pieces are looking quite good. And watch out for those dark squares. Maybe Richard can move his knight to try and get the dark square bishop. He does, Jovanka.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised there by Wesley's last move. I mean, I like my bishops. I like to protect them. But Wesley thinking otherwise, that his space is worth. And now the queen comes into the middle, but that queen can get kicked around. And sure enough, there's Richard just with that pawn move opening up the bishop's diagonal.
So the pawn structure is in Black's favor because that pawn that Richard just moved is what we call a backwards pawn. It's a weakness in White's position, but the pieces, as Jovanka mentioned, is certainly in White's favor. He can now move his bishop undeveloped into the game. If he gets into the end part of the game, the bishops could take control. And there you go, a good move, attacking the queen and also lining up against the pawn there. I'm really liking Richard's chances of leveling the match here.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, and especially that light square bishop, which is like a sleeping assassin, is already targeting one pawn there on b7, and Wesley offering a trade of queens. I'm really not sure about that move because, first of all, this pawn drops, and I feel that any endgame is going to benefit Richard with that mighty bishop pair.
The bishops are really very strong in this position, and it's equal on materials, and Richard's also got rid of that weak pawn that he had, so now the pawn structure is not a problem for him. So what he's got to do is just start using those bishops. He might want to grab another pawn here. I think he's thinking about that. The bishop in front of White's king can do a zoomy and zoom down and grab a pawn on the left hand side, but he also might want to exchange queens or even just move his queen out of the way here.
I also was just thinking, just make a nice little pawn chain there on the left side of the board. And well, Richard's an active player. He decides to mobilize his rook. Also, fantastic way to play.
This move is aiming at the pawn in front of Black's rook on e7 there, and Richard really wants to take that pawn. The evaluation bar did not like that move as much as some of the other options, but this is blitz chess. It's very hard to play perfect moves when you've got no time on the clock. And Wesley grabbing a pawn here, and Richard also taking one. And I still like the bishops here personally. Maybe, okay, Black can get some counterplay, and he does. He moves his knight into the middle, Jovanka, trying to create some counterplay, attacking the bishop.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm not particularly keen on with Richard's last few moves is that if the queens now get traded off, well, the pawn structure is very symmetrical. I would prefer to have that in balance so that the bishops could rule supreme. But still, the endgame is quite a way away, and you can see that if the dark square bishop and the queen were to coordinate on the same diagonal, that black king is gonna feel very scared. But at the minute, that is a pipe dream.
Yes, the one thing is just like White's pieces are not quite coordinating as well as they'd like, are they, Jovanka?
No.
I mean, the bishop is a bit disconnected in Black's half of the board. Black's pieces at the moment have better coordination, so there are some problems that Richard needs to overcome. Both these players do generally have high heart rates, I mean, I think they use that to their advantage to get into the zone when they're playing. But there's a bit of an issue here. What do you do? Your bishop is threatened. Do you attack the queen? Do you move your bishop away?
Yeah.
Do you capture that knight? There's a lot of things to think about. 35 seconds, Jovanka.
No, I know, not very much time. And I must admit, something that would appeal to me, although it's very, very risky, is to actually capture the knight in the middle of the board. And, well, Richard likes to play with his pieces. He doesn't care about material. Instead, he uses his rook that was sleeping in the aid of this bishop. But yeah, I was really tempted to go bishop takes knight and then get control of all the dark squares.
He might be trying to do that here, but he has given up a pawn, Richard. But to get that rook to where it's supposed to be best placed on the 7th rank, there was an old player, Nimzovich, who said in one of his old books, "My system, this is where you need to have your rooks." Famous German player there. I don't think he was from Berlin, but I don't know. And now we see another tactical move there. Wow, knight takes pawn, and Richard moves his queen immediately into the middle. Maybe that's a mistake. He moved that very quickly. They're both so short a time, though. This could go either way. It's just too complicated, this position.
It's incredibly complicated. And now Wesley retreating the queen to attack the rook. And you can even see the bar there was completely confused. And, well, Wesley creating some magic there with the knight. Now it's attacking.
Knight takes rook was possible.
Yeah.
He could have taken the rook because of a fork on e2. Wesley missed the win in that position. He's still doing okay there, but he actually missed. He had a knight fork, and this is where the blunders start to occur when there's no time on the clock. Now Wesley is 2 pawns up, but those bishops are again, to my eyes, looking very, very dangerous. I think Richard has full compensation here.
He certainly does have full compensation, and Richard being very sneaky there, maybe even thinking about sacrificing that rook for the bishop to get at the king, and the rook lift, and ooh, Richard's king is really shaky. Will it survive?
Well, Richard's king is walking up the board there without any fear, and it does look like that king could be in a lot of trouble. Black has 3 pieces attacking it, but it's a crazy position. Keep an eye on the clock there. Richard grabbing a pawn, and Wesley just trying to coordinate his pieces. And there, the rook lining up against White's king. The bishop is attacking that rook. It has to move. It's just, again, it could go any way, this position.
Absolutely. And, well, this is a nice move from Wesley. It's greedy, but at the same time, it's attacking the rook. It's a multi-purpose move. But look at those counter-attacking moves that Richard keeps on finding.
And it's going to be liquidated, this position, quite soon. And we see there, it is a killer fork by Wesley So. Wesley So taking the win. That knight check, attacking the king, attacking the rook. That's the final blow. Really well played by Wesley So. He kept his cool under immense pressure, and he gets an extra 20,000 euros.
Yeah, he is in contention. His hopes remain alive for tomorrow's grand final. But what a display of power there from Wesley So. Such impressive game, you know. Used the tactics when he needed to. He mobilized the pieces. It was like today he came and said, I'm going to bring my A game.
We saw other dimensions of Wesley there. Normally Wesley plays very safe. I mean, if you were following us yesterday, he against Humpy played without any risk, and he ground Humpy down. But today he was playing the crazy Richard, and he had to go into the dark forest and play some really bizarre and complicated moves, but he handled those complications brilliantly. He really did. Lots of players would just collapse against that mayhem, but he kept his cool there. Very, very well, and that was
and this position, by no means, you know, Wesley prepared to sacrifice a knight. This is not easy, and especially not easy when you only have 30 seconds on the clock. But look at the way that he's able to make those really clever tactical moves.
Well, I think here you can go knight takes rook. I think this move was maybe missed. Might have been a better way, but getting the queens off was a very natural way to play as well, trying to take some danger out of the position. We still haven't had any draws here in Armageddon. I don't know if we're going to get any. There's blood and guts everywhere. And at the end here, Wesley's 3 pieces were working so well together. The White King was too exposed. It couldn't get any protection, and this was the key factor.
Yeah, and here we can see Richard trying with the king, but Wesley's pieces are just being relentless and hunting it down.
Yeah, and the final blow comes around this part here when there's a big check with the knight coming up, and there was nothing that Richard could do. He was already 2 pawns down. It was brilliantly calculated, and this was the killer check, attacking the king, attacking the rook, and taking the victory, going through to the final.
And we're going to head over to Dina, who has an interview with Richard.
Richard, tough match today. Seems like you had some chances, right?
Yeah, you're very politically correct. Yeah, I think so, yeah. I had chances in all my matches, and I used 50% of them, which is way too little for this tournament, so, you know, that's what it is. Yeah.
I really liked your Caro-Kann opening. Was that home preparation?
Not really, I just figured why not, you know. Calculated all these ideas after e5 during the game. It looked like black is fine after the tactics. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, yeah, I don't know.
Black was fine, so it was objectively good, but is it so that in Blitz it's harder to defend than to attack?
You can, I mean, ask different players, you will get different answers, you know. It's sometimes it's harder when you're, you know, not in your best. Usually it's easier to miss tactics. Yeah, that's true. So.
All right, so what is next for you now? Your Armageddon is over. What are your goals in this 2023 year?
Good question. Chess-wise, I don't know, I'm playing a lot of tournaments. Non-chess-wise, I just try to be, you know, a good person till the end of the year. See how it goes, yeah.
I'm sure you succeed at least at one of them.
Hopefully, yeah.
All right, well, thank you, and we hope to see you next year in Berlin again.
Thanks.
Back to you guys.
So we're back in the studio now, and we have Wesley and that was a great match. We really enjoyed that. And Wesley, we were talking about your styles of playing. Yesterday, it was a very calm match, but today it wasn't that calm, was it, Wesley?
Yeah, for sure. First, thanks for your kind words. I really appreciate that. After the 2-0 loss the first day, I didn't think I would last long. But I'm very glad I made it all the way to the final day.
You've done great, yeah. And you're in the final and playing for the big money. So
yeah, I don't know the prices yet. I only look at the prices after the tournament.
Yeah,
we won't mention anything. Okay.
Well,
but,
tomorrow another day of chess, though, so then that will determine the prize money, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be very exciting. I knew that Richard was a very dangerous player. Mm-hmm. I mean, I picked Duda for tournament, but I had the feeling that Richard would be the guy to beat here because he's just so good. So today went far smoothly than I thought. You know, I would have been happy to reach an Armageddon before.
Yeah.
But,
you always say that, but then you win 2-0.
Yeah. well, it's not up to me. I just make the moves.
You just play the good moves.
We did notice, though, that you had a big score against Richard in the past. You know, I think the score is like 7-0, right, in your favor.
In classical? Or
I think it's mixed.
Yeah.
Oh, it's mixed. Yeah, he's always been... He's a very imaginative guy because I think I remember I played him before when he used to play like beat tier openings, and maybe I beat him once or twice. I think I beat him twice in Waikanse. But now he's become a lot more solid and a lot more professional in his approach. But he's still incredibly strong. His play is still a little bit uneven. Like today, he was better in both games, I believe, and he was also ahead on the clock in both games.
Yeah.
But he somehow managed to crumble very badly in the end. Like the second game, I mean the first game, he should never have lost that. But I understood after bishop takes g6, the position was super tricky. Like white is probably worse, but I would pick white. Much easier to attack in blitz game. So maybe he shouldn't have allowed that. Like also in game fit, he could castle short, for instance. Because I totally botched up the opening. I knew Sam Shankland had a game many years ago with white here, and he won smoothly. But I could. It's very difficult to predict Richard's openings. I had no idea who played the Caro-Kann, who played the winner, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what was very impressive though was when your position was starting to look a bit tough, you managed to complicate it and give yourself some great chances there with his bishop takes g6. So you timed things very well, it seems. So
yeah, I was very surprised why he played h5. I mean, when I played rook h4, I already saw this h5 bg6, and because I'm already a pawn down, so
Yeah, you might as
Might as well
well.
roll the dice.
yeah. And then and then my rook is gonna be trapped on h4, so I noticed I could grab a couple pawns at the very least. Also, these like he's got 3 isolated pawns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Black has a defense, but he blundered also in the end with rook e8. Maybe
Yeah.
bishop e5 and Black is still
Right.
a bit.
Yeah.
Still okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it was good. And
And in the second game, you were under some pressure with the black pieces. Richard had the bishop pair,
Yeah.
but still you found those tactical shots to keep the game alive.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was better in both games, but at least in the second game, I had nothing to lose because I would get another black. Although with no increment this time. So. But I didn't predict his opening. Like, he's been playing 1 e4 in this tournament, so I prepared a little 1 e4, e5. But then he played the King's Indian, with both colors. That's why I didn't play 1 d4 in the first move, because he would play the King's Indian and then probably get a better position, but then he'd trick me in the end. So I just... I totally mixed up the opening. I thought the bishop on d4 looks very good at first sight. But no, I was behind.
It felt like your pieces got a bit tangled. But the good news is you won.
Yeah.
You're still alive in the
Doesn't-
competition. The worrying news is that your heart rate is still pretty high.
And do you have any tips? Like,
it seems to be working. I wouldn't change anything.
No.
If it works, then it's okay. So you're using that tension very well, I think. To go through. Yeah.
I broke my personal record. It was 177 the other day.
You've done well, 178, and you got the final to go even higher.
Let's see if we can reach 180. Yeah, it's really annoying. I know it's unhealthy for you, but
I think
I'm still alive. Yeah.
Yeah. You're still doing well, so I wouldn't worry. And we can have a look at the brackets as well, because we have this other game which is going on today, which I guess you'll be watching between.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting match. Like, they were actually both my teammates in the recently concluded World Rapid, and Jan-Krzysztof scored 7 out of 8. Nodirbek scored very similar.
Yeah, they're both very good players, so it's really hard to
good.
predict who's going to
Well,
win that one.
on that subject,
Yeah, for sure.
who do you think will win?
Well, I think Duda, just because he's very experienced. Like, he's a bit older than Nodirbek, but I wouldn't put too much money. Yeah,
A
because
tentative Duda then. Okay.
Nodirbek is just very aggressive, and he finds resources. Like, he should have lost the match against Richard, but I don't know how he managed to survive that, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very resourceful, but
Also
really well played today, Wesley, and you're now in to the finals. Congratulations, and we'll let you get some rest now, and we'll just have a look at some highlights from what's happened so far.
And the FIDE online arena hosts rated tournaments and games 24 hours per day. Join the arena and you'll get a FIDE ID, a profile on FIDE.com, access to pro chess community, free access to prize money tournaments, and so much more. So play official games at chessarena.com.
Great start to the day there. We still haven't had any draws in Armageddon. Normally in chess you get lots of draws, but not when there's blood in Berlin, and we're getting a lot of blood in Berlin here in this Armageddon competition. But the next match is going to be brilliant. Nodirbek versus Jan-Krzysztof, and wow, what do we think about this one?
Yeah, this one is going to be intense. In fact, these two have only played 5 games, and one was won by Nodirbek in the Rapid when he became the Rapid World Champion in 2021. The rest, all draws.
Yeah, it could really go either way. Let's just have a look at the players now. And Nodirbek is a fantastic player, grandmaster at the age of 13. He actually had his birthday here during the event, so maybe that will help him. I think everyone got a piece of cake there. And he's been World Rapid Champion. He's just a phenomenal talent and a brilliant player. Let's hear a little bit more about him now.
There is some special pressure, I think, in these tournaments. It's surrounded by a unique atmosphere, I think. So it's very important to control your emotions and to not over-stress yourself. I think I'm very warmed up for this tournament because, you know, I played many games of Blitz. It's the first tournament of its kind, so I'm very motivated to win it. I'm planning to play some interesting games, and I think it's very important to be in good shape and control your emotions during these games and just having a great time in Berlin.
Yeah, he's a very dangerous opponent, but he will be facing off against Jan-Krzysztof Duda. Just 25 years old, became a Grandmaster at 15 in 2021. He won the World Cup. Also, 2021 was a great year because he became European Blitz champion as well, and is also the recipient of the Polish Gold Cross of Merit. And let's hear more about Jan-Krzysztof Duda in his own words.
Last time when I was here in Berlin, I was really enjoying my time. All of the matches were very tough. I think the first one was quite crucial against Michael Adams. I was really enjoying myself, being on the good side of things in my whites game. Well, I want to win against everyone, of course. Yeah, it's a very interesting combination of players here because there are some youngsters like Gukesh or Nodirbek Abdusattorov. And also there are more experienced players, so it's a nice mixture of everyone, like willing to take risks whenever I find it, you know, reasonable to do so. And I mean, I also have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. I think you just have to, you know, repeat it and repeat it over and over again.
Yeah, and we are less than 1 minute from the start of play, and Jan-Krzysztof Duda, he said it himself, he wants to win. He has the nickname of the Polish fighter, and he actually personally named Nodirbek Abdusattorov as being an interesting player. So this is the matchup that everyone has been looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, we heard they're being teammates as well. They're both really talented. They're both great attackers. I think this is going to be one of the matchups of the whole tournament, one of the most exciting ones. And remember, it's only 2 games as well, maybe a third if it's Armageddon. We see Duda has the advantage of the white pieces. Will the Duda bide and get in some good opening preparation? What do we reckon, Jovanka?
Yeah, well, he'll have to pull out all the stops if he wants to win this match and guarantee himself at least 40,000 euros, because he'll enter the grand finale. And there's so much pride, so much honor at stake. And King's Pawn has been played, and Nodirbek playing the Sicilian, a very committal opening, and he's going for the, is it called the hyper accelerated or the accelerated?
Accelerated Dragon, this is one of the coolest names for any opening, the Dragon opening. We all want to play a bit of Dragon chess, and we see Duda playing quite a positional setup. Duda's setup is called the Maroczy bind. White's pawns are trying to dominate the center of the board, and this is named after the player Maroczy. And you can both inferior, they're both playing their moves quite quickly and developing their pieces. White has that space advantage, but black has a solid setup with potential to break out. The heart rates, these two are it's a different heart rate game, isn't it, compared to the last one. They're keeping their emotions well under control here, but so far, pretty normal start to the game.
Yeah, so far, this is all in the realms of positional chess. White is going to be all about controlling those squares there in the middle of the board, preventing black from challenging the stronghold in the center with his own pawns. And if he manages that, he'll have a very good position. And so there we see Nodirbek. He's getting ready just to break through there on the left side of the board. And Duda is going to just focus on maintaining that space advantage, because if he loses control, the game can suddenly turn into black's favor.
And Duda still needs to get his king castled. He's got to move his bishop and get his king to the right-hand side. But if he can stop any black breaks, then he should maintain an advantage because of that extra space he has. White's got more pawns advanced than black. With Nodirbek's last move, he's trying to break on the queen side with a pawn, but I don't think that quite works yet. So the challenge here for black is to find a way to get counterplay so you don't get suffocated. If you play too passively here as black, you can get, your oxygen can get drained out of the position, and you will just get slowly ground down. So there is a danger, more of a danger for black in this position.
And there we see Nodirbek getting ready for this potential opening by moving the rook. Now Nodirbek will have to be like that snake and bide his time. And Duda just developing the light square bishop. Now there's one thing to note about this light square bishop. It is the worst piece on the board. It's completely jammed up by its own pawns, and an interesting move there from Duda, offering a trade of queens. And it's decision time for Nodirbek. Does he go into an endgame where the chances of a breakout are going to be reduced, or should he keep the queens on the board?
I think he's an active player, Nodirbek, and he'd want to keep the queens on the board. Exchanging queens just means he'll be a little bit worse, so he does keep the queens on the board. His queen infiltrates there, but he's still lacking that break, and now Duda finally gets castled. How does black break this bind here? White can use his knight to pressurize a bishop next, maybe move his pawn forwards, and I'm a little bit biased here because I always prefer playing with more space. It's a bit easier to play the position with more space.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a critical idea in this type of opening. You have to activate your knight, you have to move it in towards the center, and often you don't really care about your light square bishop because it's a bad piece anyhow. And one thing that is concerning though is that Nodirbek not so much time on the clock, just 1 minute and 10 seconds.
He's probably got the best heart rate of everyone we've seen so far, Nodirbek, and he's moving that knight around now. So Duda's just got to try to work out a way to maybe try and keep his two bishops, stop any breaks. And this is still pretty standard stuff here. I actually think that black queen infiltration that Nodirbek played was very clever there, because it's quite annoying, that black queen. So it seems like black has made some decent progress, even though the evaluation bar is well up in Jan-Krzysztof's favour.
I'm just laughing because I love the way that Duda just moved his knight. He did it so calmly and it did it so slowly. It felt like a classical game, not the Armageddon.
He's very chilled.
Series.
The dude is abiding so far. He's playing very relaxed style, isn't he? Let's have a look at his next move. Is he going to hop around like he's going to have a nice cup of tea maybe and relax a little bit, or is he going to start playing with a bit more pace? This is blitz chess after all. You've got to show a bit of determination, a bit of grit, and let's see, is it going to be a hopper or is it going to be more of a panic? He looked at his clock there, so he's realizing he's got to move soon.
It's decision time, and I was going to say, is he going to push forward the f-pawn, start to unsettle Nodirbek? Nodirbek, he's confident, and one of his trademark things is that he is fearless, and well, Duda actually moving his queen, sorry, Nodirbek moving his queen into the position. I don't know what happened to me there. I got flustered there by the lack of...
And the knight comes out here, and this is a very, look at the black queen. The black queen's going a little journey all around the board here. It's getting bored of the queen side and it's going to the king side now. And Nodirbek now does swap off the bishop, so he does get the advantage of the two bishops. He moves that queen in very quickly, and it's a really interesting position still. Is it time for Duda to break with f5? That's the move I play, get the attack going. He does. He's building up an attack here, attacking the bishop. The pace is getting quicker.
Yeah, and there's a big threat on the board of white actually pushing the f-pawn one square forward, and oh, well, there is Nodirbek there with the black pieces moving the bishop to the center, threatening to pounce on that pawn on h2, and that's why Jan-Krzysztof just offers a trade of bishops.
And the Evaluation Bar is liking that extra space that Jan-Krzysztof has. He's still playing very coolly for a man who's only got 37 seconds left. The guy is so chilled out. I don't think he's going to be so chilled soon. You can see Nodirbek is playing with more emotion there, visibly getting into the vibe, and more pieces getting exchanged off here. But that white knight is very strong, and I still like the pawn structure. Great move there. It looks like Black's king is under a lot of pressure now.
Yeah, totally. And how is Nodirbek going to hold off those two white rooks? Is he going to step forward with the pawn, but at the cost of perhaps isolating that queen there on the right side of the board?
Got 12 seconds. Got to move.
He just solidifies his pawn structure, but take a look at the black queen. She is out on a limb there.
And the other problem with this move is the white knight is now cemented in the middle of the board. That white knight can only be exchanged, but that won't be good. And Duda gaining more space on the queen side. Duda doing very well here, but they've now down to no time, so it's getting more and more random. And you can see Black Nodirbek is trying to just play a defensive setup, but he's gonna have to. It's gonna be hard to maintain this defense.
It is going to be hard, and I think Duda missed a chance to win a pawn there. But okay, they see Duda there just advance all his pieces there on the king side. Now there's a trade. Duda is doing very well, but 7 seconds on the clock, and he has to find targets.
He's
and
won a
now
pawn
he's won
in
a
the middle.
pawn in the middle.
That was a big pawn he won, because you can't take the queen, because that pawn is what is called a pin. You can't take the queen because you can't move into check. And Duda is completely in control at the moment. He's got an extra pawn and the attack. His king is safer here as well, Jovanka.
Yeah, and the only thing he doesn't have is he doesn't have more time, just down to 6 seconds. And if Nodirbek can break out, and he has, then still anything can happen.
3, 2.
Oh.
Just keep an eye on that clock. They've got only moments to play the rest of the game, and Nodirbek is fighting so hard here in a position which is probably losing, but he's playing everything. He's doing everything he can here, but his king is now very exposed here. That black king in check, and he moves his king back, but I don't know if it can survive for long here.
No, it won't survive for long. And now the through queen is threatening to come in to g8 to give checkmate. And Duda now introducing the rook into the attack. Only 5 seconds. That is
so
a nice
cool
square for the rook. Is he okay? Can he just trade off queens and start pushing those pawns? Go actually pawn hunting, and he does. And now the pawns, they are just going to start rolling up the board. You can overprotect them and then push the c pawn.
Yeah, it's 2 extra pawns for Duda, and that should be enough. Look at those pawns. They're just rolling down the board, and you can see Nodirbek playing with 1 second on his clock, but there's no stopping those pawns. They will become a queen, and Duda will win this first game.
Yeah. And Nodirbek trying to set some traps, but that's not going to be sufficient. And it is Duda who wins the first game. Beautiful opening play by Duda. He kept control, and he just kept on building.
Yeah, great victory for Duda, and we still don't have any draws in Armageddon. Amazing stuff, and that was a really great game. But the thing that impressed me the most there was just how calm he was. I mean, the guy had like 3 seconds, 2 seconds. He's just like, yeah, okay. I'll just calmly, I'll be like, you know, I'll be like shaking. But he was so cool, and that obviously helped him a lot there.
Yeah, and I just like the way that he played that very aggressive move. Do not be fooled. And then he backed that up with a knight coming into the center, and every single move was an improving move by Duda. Still played fantastically.
He did, yeah. That position, that opening, I don't know if it's a wise choice against someone like Duda, because he's an attacking player and he had that space, and that was a key move there, winning a pawn in the middle, and that was the start of the end for Nodirbek, that he couldn't do anything really here. He just had to try and keep some pressure on the clock, and he did the best he could after that, but it was looking bad. And the end of the game, well, around about here, the Black King in a lot of trouble. and you can see he's defending as well as he can. But just look how cool he's moving those pieces. I mean, he's got how many seconds on the clock?
He's got 7 seconds on the clock. He has the
calm.
liberty of being able to just improve his position, give a few checks, build up that time, just get ready to compose himself. Whereas for Nodirbek, it was just living on the edge, and here the precision was beyond hope. And it's just a question of advancing those 2 pawns to the destination, and this is the killer moment. The rook steps backwards, gives a check, and will actually block Black's connection to that advanced A pawn. And well, we are less than a minute away from game 2, and Nodirbek will be playing with the white pieces. What does he have to do, Simon?
He has to win.
He has to win. Easier said than done, though.
He has to do it. The good thing that he's got as a reserve is that, if he does lose this one, well, he's got to win. He's got to win with white, right? I mean, he's got the white pieces. He's just got to go for it. I think the opening stage is going to be so important. If Nodirbek can get some kind of aggressive position that he's comfortable in, like Jan-Krzysztof got, he's got all chance to do it. He's a great player. He's a great fighter. And he spots tactics very quickly, but the opening stage is going to be exciting. Can he do it? And 3 seconds to go. What's he going to play?
Yeah, and the heart rates have steadied. Nodirbek going to open with the king's pawn, and Duda, well, he just needs a draw, so he goes for the most solid reply to this opening. He plays a Petrov, and Nodirbek says, okay, fine, if you want to play solidly, I'm going to say no, but I'm going to play this little crafty move. And this move has been quite trendy on online chess.
Yeah, it's a useful move to play, and it's kind of just a wait and see tactic. Will Black try to move in the center or not? And instead, Duda develops his pieces, and White is doing the same here. And this exchange is quite committal from Duda, actually, because now White gets those 2 bishops, and those 2 bishops can be very, very useful later on. But saying that, it's a very solid structure that Jan-Krzysztof has got, only needing a draw. He doesn't need to play anything too risky in this game. He's just got to keep control. But early days at the moment.
Yeah, and there we see both sides getting their king to safety. And now the question for Duda is, what should he do? Should he reroute the knights towards the right side of the board? And he goes for a nice, luxurious move of giving some space for the king.
Yeah, so we're into the middle game now, and with that last move, White trying to gain space on the queen side, the left-hand side, but Black saying, no, you're not going to gain space over there. And because White has those bishops, he'd love to open up lines, but it's very blocked, this position, and that may well favor the knights. And Duda has more knights than Nodirbek does. So I think Black is absolutely fine at the moment. How is White going to generate some action in this position? That's what he needs to do. He needs to generate some attack, try to complicate the position.
Are you tempted by the move that I'm thinking of, which is just to get crazy with the pawns?
Why not? Get jiggy with it.
But no need for any wild craziness just yet. Instead, Nodirbek decides just to connect the rooks and build it. He can have that idea later up his sleeve.
And that knight maneuver looks like a sensible choice. It's coming around to the king's side, and that's what I was saying about the knights having more potential to move. In a closed position, they can jump around in and out of the pawns, and the bishops can't, especially White's light square bishop. It looks like a big pawn at the moment. The White light square bishop, it's blocked in by its own pawn, so this is why Duda is in no trouble as of yet. This last move, I think White might be trying to give a square for his knight, and then he wants to maybe push a pawn. He's got to find a way to complicate. Duda, so calm. He's just doing the right thing, improving his pieces and waiting for Nodirbek to make a committal choice.
Yeah, and well, there we see Just Duda thinking about how he can improve his position, and he decides just to develop the light squared bishop. This is nice technique actually from Duda, just reinforcing the V shape of that of those pawns there, and also getting the bishop to the long diagonal. But Nodirbek has to actually go for something, and he does move the knight backwards. So maybe it's going to be an f-pawn that opens up the position, or maybe still we're in for more wait and see.
In these type of positions, it will generally change when a pawn break is made. So what they're doing is just trying to get their pieces to the best squares and giving themselves potential to break with a pawn. But where is that pawn break going to come from? Well, we see now Nodirbek is preparing that f-pawn to go forwards 2 squares with that last move. He's guarding the f4 square, so he's got aggressive intentions with this. I think he's done a great job of finding a decent plan here, Jovanka.
Yeah, and I really like the strategy that Nodirbek is employing. You know, he's going to wait and wait and wait with his breakthrough until Duda's got no time on the clock and can't handle the ensuing complications. It's a risky strategy, but it's very high reward.
And you can see they're a little sort of moving in the chair. Body language there, Duda says he's a bit unhappy. And there it goes again with the way this is going. He sees that white has a break, and he now moves his other knight backwards. I'm not sure. That seems a little bit odd to me. He's playing very passively here. The danger is when you only need a draw, you start playing a bit too passively, and now Nodirbek is just improving his pieces before making that pawn break. But you've got to play that pawn break at some point. You can't play passively for too long. You need to win this game. Just play the pawn break, man. Throw it on the board. Stop, come on. I want to see that f-pawn going forwards. It might, just for my own entertainment, I want to see it.
It might be black that actually breaks forward with that pawn. And there's Nodirbek just waiting again with the rook. He's a perfectionist, right? He wants to make sure that's all
now
perfect.
He's not going to get the chance,
No.
He might have missed his opportunity there because it's Duda who breaks Jovanka.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't wait forever in life. You've got to do something.
There's life advice there from Simon.
Yep, I've got loads of them. If you ever want them, Jovanka, over here. Hi.
I'm all down for them. And now Nodirbek has to do something. So we see a trade of bishops, and he's now stepped forward with the queen. But the play is a little bit mysterious. It's not necessarily easy to see how Nodirbek is going to attack. Maybe he's going to step backwards with this bishop and then challenge.
Here it comes.
Here it comes.
It's better late than never, they say. But I mean, he's got the break on the board. But the problem is, it might not be as effective here because black has got a good situation in the center now. He may even close it down here by pushing his pawn forwards. He may, let's see what he's going to do, bring his rook in the game. He does just close it down. I like this move, Jovanka, because again, you've got the 2 knights, keep the position locked. Don't need to open it up, do you? And he's just locking those pawns down here.
And now he's doing great stuff, just harmonizing the pieces, making sure everything is protected. And, well, talking about time, it is Abdusattorov who is 20 seconds down and ticking. And still, it's not easy to think of a clear plan of attack. Is he going to push forward with the g-pawn? And no, he steps back with the bishop. Does feel like Nodirbek is on the back foot, but he has the potential to move it forward.
And we see Jan-Krzysztof there attacking a pawn with his queen, and they're now going to have to pick up the pace here, and Nodirbek does with a quick move there, but this move is trying to undermine black's pawns in the middle. The black pawns are very strong. They're both now down to 15 seconds. We're going to see another crazy finish. Duda pushing his pawn right through the middle and taking a pawn there. It's getting complicated all of a sudden, but does that work?
Yeah.
The computer doesn't think it does. The valuation bar changing.
And Duda calculating quickly that you can just take the knight. The white queen is under fire as well. Oh, look at that. He promotes by taking the rook.
Oh, and he loses on time.
time.
Oh dear. And His position was losing there anyway. A very well spotted tactic from Duda. He still seems so calm. We'll have to ask him how calm he is when he comes in the studio, but that was impressive stuff from Duda. I mean, he played brilliantly, Jovanka, there.
Yeah, and we were thinking that this match is going to be very, very close, and in the end, it was 2-0 in Duda's favor. Impressive play from the Polish fighter.
I think he got two positions out of the opening, the start of the game, that he was very comfortable with, and this makes a big difference at this level. It doesn't make such a big difference when you're an amateur player. The start of the game, not as important, but the higher you get up, those small differences, they make a world of difference. And I'm saying difference a lot there, aren't I? Lots of differences. I wonder how many more times I can say it. Well, look at this different position here, and that pawn push was the start of things going wrong for white. Black opening up the king side, and I think maybe Nodirbek just played a bit too slowly, Jovanka, really. He needed to push something earlier himself.
Yeah, and this was the moment that Black took control of the initiative, and I completely agree with you. You know, Nodirbek was just struggling for an active plan, and well, here he does go for activity, but it is too little, too late, and Nodirbek quickly calculating that he can flick in this intermediate move, but well, look at Duda working things out so quickly. Quick tap with the fingers, and beautiful move here.
That's right, and that was a killer little end tactic there. You've got to calculate fast in this. It's about seeing things with no time on the clock, and you can see here, this is a move we haven't seen before. Taking a rook, getting a queen back. If you get a pawn to the other end of the board, that happens, and this position, well, he doesn't make the move in time, but it was a lost position anyway there. Duda just had too many pieces on the board.
So let's go over to Dina, who has an interview with the loser.
Nodirbek, that was a tense match. Didn't go your way. What were the key moments?
Yeah, I feel like I played this match passively because he was outplaying me like from the opening. Like first game was I think it was important because I was trying to play this Maroxy structures with Black, but he seemed to know it well, and yeah, he didn't give me any chance. And yeah, in the second game, although I got a very interesting position, I didn't know like the plan of White. He was just very good today.
You played this h3 move in 4-knight Scotch. Wasn't it the preparation for the case you had to win with White?
No, it was a plan for today's match, and I lost the first game, but it didn't change anything, so I just played it anyway.
So you don't have openings you play if you need a must-win situation, or openings if you just need to play?
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to call which opening is, you have to play in a must-win situation. It's everywhere is, it's so much theory, and the top guys are very well known for their theoretical knowledge, and yeah, I mean, it's very hard to find.
Like Wesley plays this cowboy, or maybe, this very famous grab attack. Didn't that cross your mind?
No, not at all.
All right, and on a better note, you got another chance tomorrow. Let's say, what is the major lesson that you learned today?
No, I played just very passively today. I feel like without energy and, without kind of showing very passive, and also playing very slowly because, he was always up on time, and yeah, I feel that I have to correct my time management and to sharpen my chess.
Well, Is that so that your opponent would be a psychologically tough opponent for you?
Like who? You mean Wesley?
No. I mean like your today's opponent. That you were playing slow, as you said. So could that be that your opponent was, putting you some particular pressure?
No, I think he knew this positions very well, and he was well prepared, and he was just making fast moves, and I was under pressure, and I didn't know this middle game positions, and I think it was a well-deserved victory for him today.
All right, well, you gotta get some rest for tomorrow, and good luck to strike back.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
And we are joined by Jan-Krzysztof in the studio. And I have to say, Jan-Krzysztof, 2-0. That was very impressive.
Yeah, thank you. It definitely has been a tough match. I felt like I was extremely nervous, and also I guess my heart rate was a bit bigger than usual. But it wasn't. It was anything but easy, of course. And I'm happy, of course, to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to? The first game you got this Maroczy bind we're talking about, and it seemed like quite a nice position to have. I mean, you seemed to keep control very well in that game.
Yeah, actually, I didn't expect my opponent to go for this Maroczy bind. I mean, he played G6. He had played G6 before here, but I think he decided to play, slow chess in general for today, and it backfired for him. But maybe it's a matter of day. It's difficult to say. Also, in the second game, I think he opted for a very slow approach, let's say it's reverse anti-Berlin, and it was just a game, but I was fortunate to spot these tactics and win.
Mm-hmm. You played very calmly though. From game 1, game 2, it felt like we were watching a classical game at times.
I mean, in the studio, we were amazed how calm you seemed. So, because you were moving the pieces very calmly, and we're like, you've only got 5 seconds left. You weren't feeling that calm though, were you, or were you?
No, I wasn't at all. But the positions were kind of calm, so maybe that's why.
Oh, calm positions, so.
Yeah. No, in general, I had 2 very bizarre stories yesterday, because I decided to play for this chess.com event and wanted very badly to qualify to the top division, but didn't manage. Okay, and so I lost like 7 hours or so. I could use, for preparing for this match, let's say. And then I went to eat something, have some dinner. It was around midnight, because tournament was very long. And then when I was returning and thinking, some random lady, hide behind some column, and then,
Really?
For me, yeah. And I was like so shocked.
Why did you do that?
I was so shocked, really.
So last night,
it was Boo actually, no, sorry.
Hey, wow.
Yeah. It was like, I was so stunned, I couldn't, say anything. And also today, when I was returning from lunch, also the pigeon flew in me. So it was, two good omens.
A pigeon went to the toilet on you, or?
Yeah, no, it flew, in my face.
Yeah. Tough couple of days.
Yeah, so I have to be there all the time.
Yes.
So playing chess feels like the easiest part.
Yeah, right. I like that. Life is the trickiest part. Playing chess is the easy part. So
so bizarre.
Wow. Yeah, that is strange. That sounds like a strange couple of days.
And talking about days, how do you prepare for a match like this, when it's all about nerves, it's all about playing on the board?
Yeah, no, I'm only preparing openings.
Yeah.
And I'm quite an experienced player, and I love playing Blitz, so it definitely helps. I don't have I can't really predict my opponents usually, but still, good preparation is never a waste of time. So, that's basically all. It's very stressful format, but
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I was also playing in stressful tournaments before, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of used to it.
And talking about stress, let's have a look at the heart rate competition. So not only did you win 2-0, you also won the heart rate as well, 141.
Yeah, a bit higher than usual. Yeah, I mean, Nodirbek is definitely more fit. I mean, he's much younger than me, so in his age, maybe I would would have similar heart rate.
Yeah, and
guess.
talking about fitness, is there anything that you do to keep in shape?
I got very lazy in that aspect, to be honest. Like, I mean, I was doing it like a lot, but then somehow I stopped, and yeah, I do it occasionally. Let's say it's not, unfortunately, everyday basis.
And do you do anything to, like, you know, being calm at the board is very important? I mean, is there any sort of routine you have, or you know, I know Jovanka does a bit of meditation occasionally, but do you do anything that sort of gets you in the right sort of zone? Any good song choices, for example?
No, when I win some game, you know, or in this case a match, I usually try to do the same. Like, you know, basically to repeat everything I can, like, you know, the food, like walking pattern and so on.
So we need Jovanka to push you, jump out again, because that worked, yeah? You had someone jump out and push you and went boo. Jovanka, you've got a job for tonight. You've got to jump out and say boo at 12 o'clock, right?
You know, I actually did that once, and the person curled up into a little ball and said, "Don't hurt me," and I felt like the worst person on the planet. So I'm never doing that again.
You are the Phantom Berlin jumper. So, oh dear, I'm a bit worried now.
Yeah, tonight hopefully, you know, I will eat a bit quicker than in midnight. That's maybe I will, you know, not face it again.
And one quirky fact about this event is that so far in this grand finale, we haven't had a single draw. Does that surprise you at all?
Yeah, it's very surprising. Actually, I heard this comment because I was watching a match. I mean, match between Rapport and So before, and yeah, I mean, somehow it's very, very strange, but I guess there will be some draw. Sure.
Yeah. And how do you feel for tomorrow? We don't want to put you on the spot too much, but you feel confident?
Yeah, of course, it's very comfortable. Couldn't be any better, of course, and. At once, you know, I on a good side in the finals. So, but I mean, it's on the one hand, it seems to be so easy. Like, you know, you have like a match, an extra match. Yeah. But then again, I mean, it can backfire. Yeah, I just have to play chess and fully win.
Do you feel it's easier to have like a match beforehand so you can warm up? Do you feel that you need that time to sharpen up, or is it good because you're going to be facing either Nodirbek again or Wesley So? Do you feel that's coming in cold?
I mean, it's always nervous. It doesn't matter, you know, if I'm playing first or the second. That's it.
And talking about the future, tomorrow it is going to be Wesley So against Nodirbek. Which one of those players, if I can put you on the spot, would you prefer, or who do you have the best record against?
Well, actually, it's these two games I won against Nodirbek are my first wins against him. I mean, he seems to be in quite good shape here, so I guess he might be more challenging. On the other hand, you know, against Wesley, okay, we haven't played that much blitz, but in longer term controls, I struggle in general. So yeah, it's a tough call, but yeah, I'm happy to play both of them.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, and well done today. I hope you have a less stressful night as well. Yeah. You know, watch out for those jumpers and Jovanka, apparently, on the street. Thank you. Thanks for that story, Jovanka. I'm going to look at you a little bit differently now. Don't shout at me. But yeah, thank you so much. And we're going to just show some highlights now. We'll be back soon.
Thank you.
And as a technology and digital privacy company, Kaspersky supports the secure advancement of chess in the digital space and its expansion into online tournaments. A perfect combination of human excellence and strong technology.
Yeah, what a great day of chess we had. I mean, it was actually, I thought it was going to be an Armageddon today, so I'm really surprised. The two players who won, I mean, Duda and Wesley just seemed phenomenal, didn't they? Absolutely brilliant. So.
It felt like they leveled up, actually, because I thought it was going to be super close, just like you. Yeah. And, you know, we were discussing before the day kicked off, you know, who's going to win. We were really uncertain. Is it going to be Richard Rapport? Is it going to be Wesley? And, well, as they showed.
I mean, it sets us up brilliantly for the last day of this year's Armageddon. And check this out. We have the trio of doom, and it is going to be the first match, Wesley So versus Nodirbek, and the winner of that is going to play against Duda, Jan-Krzysztof Duda, for the title of Armageddon 2023. I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, this is history in the making, and wow, what an epic day of chess we have in store for you tomorrow. First up, it will be Nodirbek against Wesley, and they will battle it out to see who will face off against Jan-Krzysztof Duda. It's gonna be intense, it's gonna be insane, and see you all tomorrow.